Homework 9 is quadratic equation application. So this is a lot of geometry stuff, a lot of background knowledge with different area formulas, different things about triangles, perimeter, different things like that. So this first one, number 1, this says the length of a rectangle is 4 meters less than twice its width. So that's a lot. Find the dimensions of the rectangle. This is the area of the rectangle is 70 meters squared. All right, so you want to make just like little side notes if there's anything you feel like you should write down rather than trying to keep all that info in your head. Sketches are especially helpful too. So this is the length of a rectangle. So I'm going to write down just a little note. The length of a rectangle is 4 meters less than twice its width. Okay, so if we first say, like, let's just call the width x, then 4 meters less than twice its width would be 2x minus 4, right? 4 meters less than twice its width. So you've got that part set up. If you want to, you can do a little sketch, set it up. Okay, so you'd have the width, the length. It's going to look something like that. That's I probably should have labeled them opposite, but it's okay. Just go with it. The area is 70 meters squared. So remember, area is length times width. So we would take length times width is equal to 70. And then it says find the dimensions of the rectangle. So we want to be able to solve for x. So what you do is any method that we're using, and factoring works well with a lot of these today, any method you want to make sure that this 70 is over on the other side. So we're going to start by simplifying this left-hand side. Multiply the 2x times x, we get 2x squared. Multiply negative 4 times x, we get negative 4x equals 70, and then you definitely want to subtract that 70 over. Factoring, I believe, once you get the hang of it, is the easiest, so you always want to check to see if something's factorable before you go into one of the more complicated methods like completing the square, like quadratic formula. So this, if there's a 2 out front, very first thing you do is see if everything is divisible by that 2, so you can factor it out. Or if it's not, you'll end up doing slide divide. So this, everything is even, so you can factor out that 2. So divide this term by 2, and this term by 2, and this term by 2. And then you're technically also dividing the 0 by 2, because you're dividing both sides of the equation by 2. So it ends up like this. With just an x squared, it's always much easier to factor. So attempt to factor, we have an x times x. That gives us the x squared. And then these missing constants here, they're supposed to multiply to give us a negative 35. They're also supposed to add to a negative 2. All right, so negative 35, we would have a negative 7 and a positive 5. All right, so that is your factorization that you've got here. And so we are going to set each one of these equal to 0. So when you take x minus 7 and set that equal to 0, add the 7 to both sides, and we get 7. This one, I'm going to take x plus 5 and set that equal to 0. Subtract 5 from both sides, and I end up with a negative 5. All right, so story problems, it's very important to remember that there is a context. And so sometimes solutions don't make sense in terms of the context. So this, having a width of 7 makes total sense. Here, having a width of negative 5 doesn't make sense in the context of geometry. So that is a solution that doesn't actually make sense when we're talking about a story problem. So the width is 7 meters. We've got that. And then the length, just go back to the way that they described it in the story problem. The length is 4 meters less than twice its width. So twice its width would be 14. 4 meters less than that would be 10. Okay, and you can just kind of confirm as well, when you multiply those two numbers together, you do in fact get an area of 70.